Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Grand Central Terminal. I'm Kathy Rinaldi. I'm the president of Metro North Railroad and the interim president of the Long Island Railroad, both of which will soon be roommates here at Grand Central. You're about to get started here, so without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to MTA Chair and CEO Jano Lieber.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you. You are the head of the two largest commuter railroads in New York, and we don't forget, in the United States, and we're not going to forget it. I'm also joined by Rich Davey, who's the new, not so new, president of New York City Transit, which runs the subways and the buses and paratransit, and Rich is doing an amazing job. We are here today to celebrate record ridership. Again, record ridership across all the MTA agencies this week. I had intended to be talking this morning about the fact that on Tuesday we had the hat trick. All three of the major services, subways, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North, had records. But then a half an hour ago, I got the news that we also had on Wednesday new records on the subway. The first time we hit 3.6 million riders since the pandemic started in March of 2020 yesterday. And also record ridership again on the Long Island Railroad. Way to go, Kathy. We are seeing, thank you. What we're seeing this week is a real change. Last week we had the biggest week of all the MTA services put together since the beginning of COVID. So every step, again and again and again, we're hitting record levels. The growth has been helped by the fact that major companies are starting to bring workers back. We're at 60+%. Office occupancy is starting to cross the 40% threshold. That is definitely happening. But the main point is when people have a place to go, they're taking advantage of MTA services. When they have somewhere to go, they're choosing to ride mass transit. That's what we want, and we want to be the service of choice. Another thing I'm really excited about, oh my God, where's my jacket? Another thing I'm really excited about is that we did a new limited edition Metro card that's going on sale today. Has anyone seen this yet? The commemorative Biggie Metro card. Biggie Smalls, the Notorious B.I.G., the greatest rapper in New York history, at least. Some would say the greatest rapper of all time. We know the Notorious B.I.G. I'm from Brooklyn, and he's the man who coined that amazing phrase, spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. And we thank the Notorious B.I.G. for his legacy, especially for Brooklyn, but for all New York. This week would have been Biggie's 50th birthday, and there are a lot of celebrations going on, and the MTA is commemorating Biggie's legacy with this special commemorative Metro card, which is literally flying off the shelves and out of the Metro card vending machines. New Yorkers, come get your commemorative Notorious B.I.G. card. It's on sale today. It's on sale as of 12:01 on Saturday. So Friday night going into Saturday, you can get these Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G. cards at your Metro card vending machine. But you only can get them at 4 specific stations in central Brooklyn, because Biggie's all about Brooklyn, right? My home borough also. Lafayette Avenue on the C, Clinton, Washington on the C and the G lines, and Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center, in some ways the center of our MTA system in Brooklyn, which covers the 2, 3, 4, the B, D, and the Q, N, and R trains as well. Atlantic Avenue Barclays, Clinton, Washington, and Lafayette. That's Biggie's home turf, and that's where we're selling these Notorious B.I.G. cards. First come, first serve. I dare say they're not going to last, so move quickly. Get your Notorious B.I.G. commemorative Metro card. So I'm done with the Metro card selling portion of the presentation. And I want to turn it over to my friend, the great president of New York City Transit, Rich Davey.
Good morning, all. Just a couple of thoughts to share. First, It's great to be here, week 3 for me. Excited to continue to talk about record ridership on our subway system. As Jano said, 3.6 million folks took our system just yesterday, and we continue to look forward to welcoming back more and more New Yorkers and those visiting New York as well. I also want to mention too that we're also seeing continued growth in our Omni product, so using the Omni system. So when you buy and utilize all of your Biggie cards and over the next couple of weeks, I want you to go back to Omni because it's super easy to tap and go in our system. I should also say too, bus is also remaining steady at about 1.5 million riders, so we're over 5 million for bus and subway, which we're super excited about. So we want to welcome back New Yorkers and welcome those visiting New York to our system. We're here to serve you. I want to kick it back to Kathy for some final remarks.
I'm going to come back for one thing which I didn't cover properly, which is all this good news is only possible for one reason, because of that. The MTA workers who powered New York through COVID, who put their lives on the line when we didn't really understand transmittal and are continuing to power this amazing MTA system every day and every week. God bless you. Thank you for what you do. Amazing, 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 amazing. All right, Kathy.
Thanks, Jano. I'm thrilled to see both Metro North and Long Island break ridership records again for the second consecutive week. Long Island Railroad carried a record 162,700 passengers on Tuesday, while Metro North carried 162,100 riders, which is great news. I'm incredibly proud of the Long Island Railroad and Metro North workforce. It's because of their hard work that we're here today. Rail travel is the quickest, easiest, and most sustainable way for us to get around the New York metropolitan region, and as we head into the summer, we look forward to welcoming more and more of our customers back on board. Riding with Long Island Railroad and Metro North is more affordable than ever thanks to our new promotions. Thanks to the new 20-trip peak ticket is great for hybrid workers in Manhattan, and the new expanded city ticket allows customers to travel between Long Island and Metro North stations within New York City for just $5 one way during the off-peak. And we should have people be sure to check out our MTA Away programs to find the best deals on dining and entertainment destinations throughout the region. And with that, I'm going to kick it back to Jano for Q&A.
All right. I usually rely on Tim Minton to, that would be Tim Minton.
You know, I do a Tim Minton impression, you may be aware. I won't do it in the middle of Grand Central Terminal, though.
All right, Newt, let her rip.
Thanks. Mr. Lieber, you've given us the statistics on how many people are riding the system now as of this week. Can you give us the percentage high water mark compared to before the pandemic?
Sure. The record subway ridership that we announced today, but that took place just yesterday, was 61%. I think that's the first time we've hit 61. We've been around 60, 59, 58 for a little while. 61 is a new level, and it's a new level in raw numbers. We've never had 3.6 million riders before on the subway system on a weekday.
And not to be a downer about this, but do you think that the numbers should have come up a little faster than that? And you sort of seem stuck in the 60s, low 60s.
Well, listen, there's no question. I think the good news is that while we only have barely 40% of office workers back, we're at more than 60%. What we're seeing is a lot of people are riding the system who have somewhere to go. The office workers, there's a little less back to work, still a lot of remote work in the office-based industries, but everybody else, when they have somewhere to go, students, people headed for medical appointments, people engaged in other activities, they're choosing to use the MTA system. That's what we like about this news.
And weekend ridership is also quite high compared to weekday.
And the weekend ridership is high, in many cases in the 70s. We had great weekends on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North in recent weeks. And bus service in many areas is over 80%. In the Bronx, it was over 80% recently. So there's no question that the one thing that is sort of keeping ridership numbers a little down is a lot of folks and a lot of companies are still engaged in remote work. That's starting to change. We're also seeing the other piece that's missing from our numbers is tourism. That's starting to come back in a big way. Office workers back, tourists back, and travel inside Manhattan. When people come to Manhattan to go to offices, they also go to meetings. They move up and down in the central business district. That's starting to come back. So those are the elements that are missing. But people from the outer boroughs who are traveling, they're riding. The numbers are much higher, and that's a very positive sign for New York. Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you? Let me get some numbers because you didn't mention the commuter rail, the percentage. Also, when do you plan to get to full service on the subways and buses? What for service?
Subways and buses are full service right now, and they
full service to
pre-pandemic. They have been carrying on a full service profile for quite some time on subways and buses. Our commuter rails are in excess of 90% for traffic that's in the high 50s. Pushing 60%. So we definitely have strong, robust service, and we've added express trains in the commuter rails. There's a lot of service, and we're thrilled that people are starting to move back in the same direction.
I'm curious about the full service because this is an anecdote that was told to me by someone who rides the LIRR, the Port Washington branch, and they're pointing out that the morning rush is 1 train per hour, but on weekends during the morning, there are 2 trains an hour. When is that going to get back to normal?
I'm not sure that the premise of the question, I totally buy into it. I'm going to let Kathy take a crack at that.
That's fine.
So in terms of ridership on both railroads, I mean, I'll get back to you with respect to the Port Washington specifically, but with respect to ridership on both railroads, we're just watching things really, really closely in terms of what we're seeing. We're monitoring train by train to make sure that there's enough capacity on those trains, and we will adjust service as necessary to be able to ensure that people have a reliable and comfortable ride. But we are keeping things, keeping an eye on things very, very closely with respect to onboard conditions to make sure that there's enough capacity for the ridership that we're seeing.
I'm told it's standing room only on the morning rush hour trains.
On certain trains, but you have this issue, and Jana talks about it all the time. Even before COVID, there was that third seat that nobody wanted to sit in the middle of. That hasn't changed with COVID. But as I said, I mean, at the Long Island Road, at Metro North as well, we are looking at those trains, literally train by train every day, to make sure that we have service that's adequate for the ridership that we're seeing. And we're happy with the ridership levels now. We're happy with the service levels now, and we're very confident that we're going to be seeing more and more people come back as the year goes on.
You can't get rid of me. The bus drivers, Mr. Lieber, the bus drivers demanding a safer enclosure. We didn't hear from you about that. You talked about increasing penalties, but what about putting safer enclosures?
This is part of a bigger issue, which is worker safety at the MTA. I've been talking about this a lot. There is no reason that any MTA workers should feel threatened when they're doing their job. There have been too many worker assaults in the system for some time, and they've definitely gone up a little bit during COVID. We are calling on the state legislature to change the law so that every MTA worker is protected. That if you attack an MTA worker, if you spit on an MTA worker, it's not just a ticket, and you don't have to prove to a cop that if the cop didn't see it, that somehow that there's a video of it. If you attack an MTA worker, it should be treated as a misdemeanor. We've asked the state legislature to do that, and Latrice Walker, who's one of the leaders on criminal justice in the state legislature, is looking at a bill in the Assembly that would match up with the Senate to do exactly that. We want to make sure that the penalties are serious and that every MTA worker is protected. We are also looking at how can we make sure that the physical design of the system can be adjusted over time if there are new issues. We protected the workers during COVID by adding those barriers. We're now going to look at some of these other technologies and ideas as well.